My video for October 16th, 2019 is video number 3238. The title is Some Dare Call It What It Is, Treason. Yes, I read the famous book by John A. Stormer many years ago now. It was self-published in 1964, the year I was set to graduate high school. It was probably one of the books that formed much of my political ideology, even before I was eligible to vote. I loved the principles upon which this nation of independent states was founded. No, our forefathers were not perfect men by 2019 standards. It was, after all, the 18th century. Many owned slaves, and women as well as people of color could not vote at the time. Still, the Bill of Rights, natural human rights, were seen as just and righteous principles. In time, some of the discrimination from the 18th century mindset were corrected. Don't get me wrong, things are still not perfect. However, I can see that some progress has been made in human understanding. Today, in 2019, the principles of republic provided by our forefathers are under attack. The United States is divided as never before. Will one nation under God perish from the earth? Or will the idealistic principles set forth 2.5 centuries ago be eradicated by self-serving criminals trying to create a one world order? The sealed indictments are really about one thing: demonic treason against humanity. It's interesting that as I was preparing this video, a friend of mine sent me an article entitled "Navy SEALs and U.S. Marines Rescue 2,100 Children from California Underground Bases. Pedophile Task Force from Trump's Pentagon." I added that last thing about the pedophile task force, but it was the pedophile task force, but I added the Trump's Pentagon. Perhaps the Donald is doing something right. And if he's rescuing the children that have been entrapped by these pedophiles that have risen to positions of power, not just in the United States, though, unfortunately, but around the world, I think that's a good thing, and I can applaud and give credit where credit is due. And so I appreciate that there is enough of an awakening happening that people are taking a stand. But as I said in the blurb, the United States is divided as never before. And some of our so-called leaders that hold positions in the Senate and House of Representatives, and certainly many other positions in state and local governments as well, have committed heinous crimes, because pedophilia has run rampant in the established order of things. And very few have had the intestinal fortitude and courage to withstand the temptations and the traps that have been laid before so many of our leaders. And thankfully, I believe anyway, some of the people that have been caught in the traps are singing like birds. And that's a good thing. You know, things are being revealed that could bring down the deep state, and it has to be brought down. But it could create a civil war in this country. And I think that that's what the establishment wants. They want to see people not using their heads and not allowing their hearts to be kind and seek actual justice and listen to the truth, listen to each other. The things that I've been talking about for so long. We have to start waking up. And there is an awakening happening. We are getting there, but we're not there yet. There's still a whole lot of people that are caught in the trap. And our education system has been compromised so that the children that are being educated in the United States are not as smart as they were in the 18th and 19th century, and even the early 20th century when education still had a modicum of truthfulness to it. Now they don't even, I mean, I would flunk modern math. And I was good at math. I was good at arithmetic, I should say. But I would flunk modern math. I wouldn't know how to do the insane way that they teach kids math is, as I said, insane. I mean, it is ridiculous. They've complicated it so that it's no wonder some kids are labeled learning disabled. It's the system is the disability that the humankind it has going on with us. Humankind has been brainwashed and dumbed down on purpose, and yet there are still a lot of people waking up. So there's good things happening, and there's an attempt to stop the good things from happening, the awakening, if you will. And that's where we are. And it's not about sitting idly back and saying, well, whatever will be, and it's not up to me, it's in God's hands, whatever that means. I mean, I wish God would empower us, yes. I wish we would get some help, whether from angels or whatever. I wish our codons would be turned back on, as I keep saying. I'd like to experience more of an awakening. But it seems like even myself, I don't have the talents, gifts, and abilities that I had when I was much younger, where I could literally take pictures in my mind of pages when I was studying for tests, and I could go back and I could look at the answers without any book or without any cell phone or anything that we have today, because it was part of my makeup. It was part of my natural abilities, which have diminished over time. This is a sad thing, but humans are not as smart as we used to be. When people used to read voraciously and study, and some could read books just flipping the pages one after another, speed reading. I mean, they could literally look at a page and see what was on that page that was significant. I think there are probably still people that can do that, and that's a good thing. I mean, some of the talents, gifts, and abilities seem to be restored, at least in a limited way, for some people. This is a good thing. And some people are able to see beyond the time and space in which they live. In other words, remote viewing. And remote viewing in past times and future times. Is that real? Is that true? The future times especially, is that real? Is everything really now, or is there a past that we can't possibly see because it hasn't happened yet? These are questions that I wrestle with, and I wrestle with the idea of, is there a loving God? I mean, that would seemingly abandon humanity for such a long time, for eons, and allow us to have to operate with part of our talents, gifts, and abilities shut down? You know, these are questions that I wrestle with, and it is treason what much of the establishment has been doing in the United States and in other places as they try to eliminate the heritage of people of certain religions and of certain nationalities, and they're trying to blend everything together. Well, a natural blending would be good, but a forced blending because of war and because of all the crap that's been going on around the world has produced a lot of problems as well that have to be dealt with. And we need to recognize what treason is, and we need to hold to account those that have been pushing this one world order thing, the monetary system and the globalization and all that crap has to come to an end. And we need to be allowed to grow up as individuals and as individual communities and nations. This has to happen if we are to have completion of this great awakening. Thank you, folks, for listening, and namaste.